Hello friends, in this video I'll demonstrate a part of MCP lifecycle, MCP server lifecycle in fact. So as we know from this document, if you visit this document modelcontextprotocol.io and go to the specification and lifecycle section, you'll see that there are three phases of a MCP lifecycle. First is the initialization phase where capability negotiation happens and protocol version agreement happens. Then comes the operation phase where all your protocol communication happens. And finally, there is a shutdown phase. So we will demonstrate the initialization phase and the part of the operation phase. So as you see in this diagram, like how this flow happens. So in the initialization phase, the client initializes or sends an initialize request, and if everything is fine, then the server will send a response, whether it is a success or an error, and then client will send an acknowledgement that yes, it has received the initialization response, and after that the communication can happen. It goes to the operation phase. So we will first use this JSON format as a payload data to send the request to initialize. So this request will go from the client to the server. So here we'll be using Postman to test it quickly. And if it is successful, then the server will respond with this data in the JSON format, which is JSON RPC. And here it will respond with its capabilities and other informations. Okay, like if it has what are its capabilities, whether it is tools, prompts, resources. And after this, then the client must send an initialize notification. Then the client sends back this notification that okay, it is initialized, and after that the communication can start happening. So if you go back to this diagram and check, so this is the part of okay. So now if you go straight away, go to the tool section, because we'll be experimenting with tools first, and same will apply for resources and prompts. So here, if you want to list all the tools, then the client should send this request to the server, okay, with this schema, with this structure, okay, tools list. So it will list all the tools, so the discovery happens over here, okay, and this will be the response, right, whatever tool is there. So in this example they have used this tool called get weather, but for us we have a very simple tool for add and subtract, so we can use either of them. And then after that, once this discovery happens, then we can choose which tool to call. So this tool's call method will be called, okay, I mean this will be the data format where the method's value will be tool/call, and we can pass the name of the method and argument. So here it is like get weather and the location, which is New York, but in our case if we select add number, then we can provide two numbers to be added, and then if the operation is successful, then we'll get the response in this format. Okay, so now let's get down into coding and see how we can achieve this. Open up Visual Studio Code, and here I'll be using UV package manager. You can use any package manager of your choice. So I'll say UV init. So it is initialized. I'll create a virtual environment, say UV VNV, and then I will move to that virtual environment. So I'll activate that virtual environment, and there we go. Next, let's add the dependency. So for now we can add fast MCP and MCP CLI. So this should be good enough for this demo. So let's add it. I will skip this part when I edit this video and post it. Okay, here we go. So finally we have installed the dependencies and we are good to go. Okay, now I move to main.py and I'll paste all the code that I have written over here. So just to save time, I already have the code written, so I don't need to type it. I'll just paste it and explain to you. It's a very simple code. So there we go. So I've just taken a few MCP tools. I've just imported first MCP from first MCP library and created an MCP server, and two tools I have created. One is add number, one is subtract number, and we always need to provide this type hint. This is very much important, which is nothing but data type for all the parameters that we are taking for the method, and what would be the return type. This is very important for an MCP tool. So, and doc string is also very important because it is through your doc string that the LLM will identify, or the agents will it will identify like or determine which tool will be used for which purpose when the prompt is given in the form of natural language, and that gets converted to a task. And finally we spin this server, and I also have taken a resource, and this is the URL of the resource. So I'll spin this server. So I've used the streamable HTTP transport, and the host I've taken as localhost. You can take any host of your choice and any port of your choice, and one path which is optional. So I've given one path as well. So let's run this now using uv run and the file name main.py, sorry, main.py. Yeah, there we go. So it will take some time to start. Okay, that was pretty quick. So we see that the server is started on localhost and the port 8080 that I have provided. Well, now that our local server is running, our local MCP server is running on localhost and port 8080. So we can test it with Postman. So in Postman, I've already saved all the required APIs that we saw in the beginning of the video with the with those payload and the JSON schema, where the first request is to, which is the lifecycle phase. Client sends initialize request. Then after it receives a successful response, then client will send an acknowledgement request. And then after that, they will go to the operation phase where discovery can happen. It can get list of tools. Client can request for list of tools, and server will provide it to the list of tools. And it can make any specific tool call as well. So let's look at it one by one. So first part, client sends initialize request. So if you remember from that documentation, this is the payload. So I have just set the payload over here, and this is the post call. Okay, so on localhost on port 8080 and slash RPC. If you remember, if you go back, you see the path is slash RPC. Okay, and we'll maximize it just to see the response. Okay, so I send this request, so from client to server, and you see the response has come. Okay, and if I just stretch it, you'll see the response is same as that is mentioned in the document. Okay, and if you see over here in the server, you'll see this request. Okay, so this request is getting logged. Okay, now before moving to other request, other API calls, you have to look for the session ID. What is the session ID? It will generate a session ID, and that session ID needs to be provided to all the calls to maintain the session, because this is a stateless call. If you don't maintain the session, it is a stateless call. So if we go to, we can get the session from here. If you go to this response, header response, you see MCP session ID. So just copy this ID, and we'll be using this ID in the other calls. So now client initialization acknowledgement. So as you saw in the document, so this is the format we have to send the data, which indicates that it is a notification and it has been initialized. And you have to go to headers, and here you have to give the MCP session ID. Now this is the older one, so I will paste the session ID that we just copied. This is the updated session ID. Formatting I have to take care. When you copy paste, make sure some special character is not getting pasted. Now let me make a call. So I send. Okay, so 202 accepted. Okay, it has been accepted by the server. Okay, now see, even without this also it will work as long as you are maintaining the session ID. Now let's get the list of tools. So we know that we have put add and subtract tools as well. So here also we have to paste the session ID, update the session ID. Okay, and this is the format JSON RPC ID. Okay, ID you have to check from the previous ID if it is the same. So if we go over here and just check, so ID here is 1, so this is a problem. Okay, and the response also, as we see, if we go to the response, ID is 1, so we have to maintain that ID. Sorry. Okay, and you have to go to headers and you have to update it, update the session ID here as well. So here I think some carriage return character is there, so I remove it and now send this request. Okay, a successful request, and the response which we see is in the JSON RPC2 format. So let me stretch it. So you see, like we have this method, it returns all the tools as a result, tools, prompts, resources, everything will return. Okay, and all the schema will be mentioned over here. Okay, so we have these tools, add and subtract. You see, add numbers, description, everything comes as a response and gives you the properties in the input schema. What are the values we need to send? So A and B, two variables of type integer. Okay, so now let's make a tool call. So as you see that when getting a list of tools, we have used the same payload that is mentioned in the document. So if I click here in the body, I'm not able to stretch it. Let me try. Yeah, sorry, it was all collapsed in such a way I was not able to figure out. Okay, so tools list. This is the method we need to call. Tool slash list. Okay. Now, finally, we'll make a tool call. So here also we have to provide the updated session ID. Okay. And this is the request payload. JSON RPC2 ID, again ID I think I should give 1, and then method tool slash call, and parameter I can give add numbers. I want to call this method add numbers, and these are argument, the value of A10 and B5. So it should return with the result 15. So let's send the request. Yeah, there we go. And if we expand it, see, the result is 50. And if we go over here, we see that all the requests are logged over here and they are successful. Status 200 means it's successful. Well, so this is how an MCP works under the hood. So I'll be coming up with more videos on different sections of MCP. So if you like this video, let me know. I'll be creating more videos. Thank you.